Okay, I think we're live. Not live, but videoing. We're YouTubing. Videoing and YouTubing. Continuing with some lines on this painting of the Rapture. This is a very technical and long-lasting painting. If you remember, I'm using a vanishing point and using this board here as a straight edge. Actually, I want to switch to this other brush. Just to put these lines in on the building. All right. Yeah, I think I'll just leave that one. Put a few horizontal lines in places. Okay. Light up some of them windows. Get some titanium white and some Hansa yellow light. For those dark lines, I used Prussian blue and raw umber. Mixture of the two to make a nice dark. Now I don't want to fill in the whole window. I just put like some streaks of light in the window because it makes it look like leave some of the underpainting show through because it makes it look like there's items inside the building or something that's kind of blocking the light, I guess. So, you know, only in parts of the window where you see the light coming through. All right. Now we're moving forward. Let's put the edge on these two buildings here. I'm going to make it a dark edge, so the Prussian blue and the raw umber mixture. This canvas has been sitting for about, I don't know, a few days, 3 or 4 days, maybe longer, I don't know. So it's nice and dry now. So this darker paint I'm putting on here kind of stands out nicer, which is good because we're getting closer in the painting. Not trying to make my edges perfect and everything, because there'll be all kinds of things happening in front of the building and everything, like people flying up in the air to meet Jesus, the saints, the church, when he comes to take us home. Okay. All right, let's get some warmer colors out because we're moving into the foreground now. Oop. Well, I didn't need to drop that. On the yellow medium, just drop the lid down into my box. Gotta get that back on there. Now we can switch to burnt umber for our dark. And phthalo blue. How about ultramarine blue instead, because I found it first. It's a good color. All right, so I'm going to dip into the Hansa Yellow Medium now. Start throwing in the front edge. Let's see, let's get our straight edge back out here. Just want to make sure these angled edges are good. And that might be a little bit too bright, so let's throw some yellow over in there. What do we got here? I got some Indian yellow deep. Let's do that. Let's throw that in there on them front edges. Darken it up a little bit, because I want when I put the light through the window, you know, I want the light to stand out against. I gotta have something darker for that light to stand out against. So let's try that. That's a little bit nicer. There we go. Now I'm mixing this Indian yellow with some of that Hansa yellow, and I'm throwing that both the Hansa yellow light and the Hansa yellow medium in with it, since I already got it on the palette. Might as well use it up. Now see how these warmer colors kind of come forward, uh, so you get a vibration almost, and plus that brings it forward in the foreground, which is what you want. And after I get all this in, I'm going to find places to add more color to this painting, because right now it's kind of dead in color, which I don't like. I like colorful paintings. So we will remedy that as soon as I get around to it. All right. So you don't have to sit here and watch me fill all this in. I'm going to use Video Magic and fill this in like 1 second flat. Bam! All right, Video Magic. You didn't have to watch me fill in all that, put in all them lines. So now we're going to start putting the light in the windows. Okay, I started using a palette knife on the windows to see how that looked on right here. I'm just going to go ahead and use a brush. I don't want that much texture on it yet because I have some stuff like people flying in the air and stuff like that towards Jesus. That's going to have to go over the top of some of this. So that will be the final texture or whatever. So we'll just use a brush for the light in the windows. And I'm just using straight titanium white because it's going to mix with that yellow color I put on the building there. So I put a lot of, detail and stuff into putting all them lines in, but the rest of it I want in kind of a painterly fashion. So I want it to mix between painterly, but yet I want the lines to go in the right direction. So I'm going to try to do this as loose as possible and quickly. Just putting these lights in here. Now that I have my direction, high flow direction, all that figured out. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I want to put some silhouetted people down here on this street, kind of walking back and forth. And I don't want a lot of detail on these people. So, I can just put in like a head shape, kind of a body. Couple of legs you can make out. I got some photographs down here. I actually might. One of them has a like a streetcar type deal in it. I might actually put that in. Let's see if I can get that. Just kind of rough one of those in back here or something. Or a bus. I don't know if it's a streetcar or a bus, or it looks like it's on a track, I think, so it's probably a streetcar. Now I want these little details in here, but I don't want them, they're details, but I don't want them to be detailed, because I want them to be just things maybe you find when you're looking at the painting, but the overall focal point, I want to be Jesus in the sky. Put some naphthol red out here, and I'm going to go through and apply some street lights and stuff out here. Kind of put them across from each other. A little pole up there, light pole. Like I said, I don't want this to be too detailed. Trying to think, you might have like some signs or something sticking out there on some of these buildings, something like that. Just adding in some color. Maybe it's a wet street in which you'd have, reflections in the street. That'd be exciting. I'm gonna get out some cobalt blue. We gotta have some other colors in here. I like my paintings to be vibrant and colorful. There we go, cobalt blue. Mix that with a little bit of titanium white. There we go. You know, you can have some blue lights on some of this stuff. Go back and forth between red and blue. It could also be reflection or something. Just all I'm doing is rubbing some stuff in there just to give it some interest. Might see some blue in some of these windows, who knows. Just get some color in there, make it interesting. Might have to wait till that dries a little bit more to get some better color in there, but it's getting good though, loosening up now. This is the loose part of the painting. I like it. I dig it. Back to the red. I want to put some red headlights on that streetcar thing. Probably have to punch them up later. Need to put some more. I need to find some photos of some cars and stuff too to put in here. Okay, let's move back to the people. Let's start putting in some quick human figures down here. And I do mean quick and painterly. Trying to think if I want to. Yeah, let's just. I'm going to put a set of tracks in for that streetcar, but I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I already got my. I already got my lines in, so I can kind of use them. There we go. Just kind of painterly put them in. Every once in a while, I'll throw like a red coat or something on one of these, some of these people. Apply a little bit of color or something on their garb. Okay, I need to remember to scrub the reflection down for a lot of these figures I put in here. All right, see how quickly you can put a crowd in? Kind of cool. Let's see. Now you can kind of put some skin tone on some of these heads just to. In fact, let's add some. Some of the Indian yellow along with some white, and I'm just going to go through here and, just kind of touch, leave a dot of skin on some of these heads. Like I said, real quick. Now, of course, as you go farther back in the distance, they're going to get smaller. Don't forget that. You don't want something back there that's as big as something up here. It's going to look like a giant standing back there. So back here, I ain't even going to do like legs and arms. I'm just going to do like a little downward motion just to kind of imply people standing up and down this street. You know, I want it to be a busy street. Maybe a crosswalk area, you know. Put in a few crosswalk lines here. This one will be going like that, so then they'll spread out from there. Something like that. Just implying something. I don't want it, you know, crazy detailed, like I said. I want all the focus up here on Jesus. Now I'm trying to think of what else I can add for little details and stuff. I don't know. You know you can almost have some power poles with power lines even. So they need to be taller. That always makes things interesting. They're always further apart too than like light poles and stuff. That way I can put in these lines and stuff you put in, you know, make it look like a city block. Might have made that one a little too tall. Let's just make this one taller. That way it looks good with that one. There we go. Make this one a little bit taller. All right, see how those marks just kind of make it. You really don't even know what some of those marks are, but I mean, just when you look at it quick, it looks like a city with all the lights and all that. And after this part dries, I might even come in and, put in some more detail because it's, the paint's getting kind of muddy. You can't quite make it all out, but I can come in and, put some more, put some brighter lines in, in a few places, and it makes it look like it gives it another dimension. But I can do that later when it, like I said, when it dries. Okay, up on Jesus. His hands are a little bit too big now that I look at it, so I kind of want to correct his hands. So I'm just going to go in here and rub some of this cobalt blue and white and just kind of go over it and shrink his hands just a hair. Not too much. Just a hair. That right there. That's probably about right. I'm darkening up a little bit behind him too so I can see him better. And I need to make his neck a little bit longer here, so we're going to do that. There we go. I think that looks a little bit better. This painting is still pretty far from being finished. But now we're kind of starting to get a look, a glimpse of how it's going to be. This part of his robe here is a little bit, looks like it's a little bit bigger than the other side, so I'm going to trim it down here too. There we go. There we go. Now I think it looks a little better. All right. Well, I think we're going to call that session over with. Let me step back and take a look at this. Starting to look better. Till next time, Christ is King. Paine is out.